Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to the videos of the paid request, this time for Jason. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, reviews, re-reviews, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. PayPal is usually the best bet. Links are in the info box there where it's at today for YouTube. Now, I did ask Jason about this because in PayPal you could send a response. I never got an answer back because he said review Becoming Evil Serial Killers. It's on Tubi, and I looked, and there's like a bunch of them. Serial Killers in the Wild West. This title, there was a TV show that was like 10 episodes long, so it was 10 hours long, and I'm like, dude, I can't watch, all 10 hours of this. So I decided to do the first episode, which is Mind of the Serial Killer. So yeah, there's this. I don't know if this was exclusively on Tubi, if this was on some network. I don't couldn't find a whole lot about it. It's one of those where it depends how much you know about serial killers. I'm one of those guys that I don't really seek out the subject matter unless there's a request. And if I do, maybe it's in reference to a movie, but you know how movies are, where movies can twist and turn facts in order to serve their story or serve their, it's weird to say entertainment factor, but. So yeah, there's been movies about Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy or stuff that I've seen. But even like the Jeffrey Dahmer one I saw, they twisted the facts around. And I mentioned that Dahmer, that Netflix one. I forget the details, but I mentioned it during that review. And so, again, I don't see. So a lot of this was kind of new to me. Although I looked up some reviews, and some people say that some of the facts they got are a bit iffy. And if that's the case, then I don't know how much this would be worth to people. Because did they get their facts 100% correct? Because there's a couple statements in here that I'm like, what? But I would say this was interesting enough for me because it brought up killers I never knew existed. Again, as a guy who's a newbie in terms of not looking into this stuff in the first place, well, I never heard of the lipstick killer or the grim sleeper. Now, of course, there are people here that I do recognize, but I never heard of the Milwaukee North Side Strangler or Gail Graham and Catherine Maywood or Larry Hall or Wesley Dodd. Granted, it just that notion of should we remember these names? Because if you remember these names, are we glamorizing them? Or instead, should we not remember the victims' names and these people should be forgotten? Because some people who have sick minds and sick values, they go, wow, I could be famous like this person, be remembered in the books, and then they go do certain things and horrible things, and that gets at a whole other conversation that I'm not going to get into because it would take like 20 minutes to get into. But this first episode, Mind of the Serial Killer, it mentions the various ones the names and how the true crime phenomenon definitely kind of exploded with the John Bonet case and O.J. Simpson, among other stuff. It goes into Ted Bundy. You have a couple people that say they're experts. Now, I don't know if they're experts that got their credentials at the bottom of cereal box, but they say they're experts. The psychopaths want to control their environment. And you see a little bit of footage of Ted Bundy kind of looking, his eyes going around when he's in custody. I guess he was a part of a hotline and he saved a 4-year-old. If that's the case, I never knew about that. But then he also did shove a 12-year-old into the mud and killed that girl, so he is a monster. And he killed two people in the same day at the same location. I mean, Ted Bundy, there's a lot of movies about him. Again, with movies, who knows how much they alter to fit their movie narrative. But, I mean, there's definitely a lot of documentaries on Ted Bundy. I'm sure people would. You go watch a Ted Bundy documentary and see a lot more in depth about the case. So maybe that's the thing. Maybe it gives you a bunch of names, and if you could go find other avenues to find more in depth research about that particular person. But this would give you a general idea. So yeah, it depends what you're looking for in terms of this program. Then it goes into how not all serial killers are white, which I figured that. How there's only been one movie on a black serial killer. I'm like, really? Has there only been one movie on a black serial killer? I'll be honest, I don't even know what that movie would be. It's not Candyman, is it? But no. And then this guy who says he's a criminal psychologist, Dr. Eric Hittey, said this, and this is where I went, what? Criminal psychologist Dr. Eric Hittey says that the FBI has studies where over 50% of serial killers are black. I went, they must be really, really ninja like them, because you never hear about that. Over 50%? Like, that's a big number. 50. If you say like 20%, but over 50% are black serial killers, what? If that's the case, maybe Michael Keane, my friend, maybe he's a serial killer if it's that damn many. Or maybe Stuntman Mark. That means 50-50. One of them is a serial killer. When I see Stuntman Mark again, I'll ask him, are you one of the over 50% serial killers? That's where I'm like, what? Like, that's where I question some of the validity of this. Because I'm like, what the fuck? I find that hard to believe. I do. I find it hard to believe. The 50% of the serial killers are black. I mean, where did he pull that out of? His ass, I guess. But the Grim Sleeper, where he would kill prostitutes. Yeah, I never heard of the Grim Sleeper. But now I know, and the more you know. G.I. Joe. The Milwaukee Northside Strangler, 7 female prostitutes. Apparently something they did was, because it happened so many years throughout, they charged the DNA. And the reason they charged the DNA is so that, I guess, assaults, there's a time limit to where you can... That's why I think, like, when the Bill Cosby thing happened, there was a bit more of a unsure status of, well, why don't you just charge them? Well, there's a time limit for those type of cases, or after a certain amount of time, then it's like, nope. I forget the exact term of it. Statute limitations. I think that's the term I'm thinking of. Which is a weird thing to have in the first place, but I mean, if I look more in depth, there's probably a reason for that, where people abused that term in terms of... I mean, sadly, there are people that fake it too. I'm not saying that's the case with Bill Cosby. I don't... That's a whole other thing I don't want to get into. I just, I'll tell you what, I would not go to a Bill Cosby party and not drink anything, but including one of those stupid sweaters he wears. But I didn't trust him from the sweaters he was wearing. But anyway, I mean, but sadly, there are people that. There's sadly a lot of women who have gone through that, and it's absolutely sad. But sadly, there are some that do fake it because of jealousy, where this person is with someone and not with them, or payback, revenge, blackmail money. It was something to that effect. And it's happened sometime. And because it happened sometime, I would be I would not be surprised if that's where this whole thing came about. Maybe not. Maybe it's something entirely different as to why that came about. But yeah, I guess they charged the DNA. At least that's what they say. Again, they also say over 50% of serial killers are black. Although, I mean, one movie on a black serial killer, technically they've done an O.J. Simpson movie, so. Well, I guess not really. It was. What was that weird one? The Ghost of Anna Nicole. I forget what that was called. It's from the guy that directed one of those Halloween documentaries, or was it the guy that wrote Halloween 6? I forget. Damn. I don't know. It was so stupid I just wiped it all in my brain. But yeah, they charged the DNA, so the assault's not run out of time, the time limit stuff. John Wayne Gacy. I mean, the program is about an hour, so there's not a whole lot of depth and focus. It's kind of just, I don't want to say the greatest hits, but kind of little bits here and there. That he buried victims in his home, and a cop smelled something was weird and funky, so he was able to get people there, and John Wayne Gacy was found and arrested. Gail Graham and Catherine Maywood, which never even heard of these two. Two worked in an elder care facility, and they tell patients, because they got them horned up, they killed the elderly at this elder care facility, and then they'd go in a room and shebang in a vacant room. I mean, the women looked so damn elderly, no wonder they banged in a vacant room, because if they were in a public room, people would puke. Potato head looking bitches. I don't care. They killed innocent elderly people. I don't care about hurting their feelings. They're probably both dead anyway. I don't care. I would tell them to suck my dick, but I wouldn't want them near it, because it'd probably show off and go up into my ass if I get near them, like radiation poisoning. And all these people didn't kiss my ass. Actually, no. My ass is pristine property. They can't go near it unless I fart in their face. Serial killers can suck my dick. Actually, no. Because what I said before, they didn't suck that person's dick. Who that person? Take your pick. They mentioned Son of Sam. They have a really goofy, like, they read what he wrote to the cops, but they put this really goofy ass voice that just made it more comedic. I don't think there wasn't their intention to be comedic, but it sounded very comedic. It's like someone trying to have a New York accent. It'd be like me. I'm the son of, I can't even do it. I'm the son of Sam. I can't even do a New York accent. These fucking guys are fucking America. And also the narrator himself. I'm not sure about the voice of the narrator of this documentary, however you want to put it. sometimes his voice would seem a bit, or maybe it's the stuff he said seemed a bit too, if not hyperbolic, then a bit. Just something about the narrator voice bugged me. I don't know what it was. Maybe he seemed a little bit goofy. Son of Sam, who did the voice for him, is a lot goofy. This is a little bit too goofy for this. I don't know why. Extreme cheap narration. I know it's like, well, how could that be? Just, it's the word that popped in my brain. Larry Hall, I guess he was bullied and he killed 54 women. And he didn't torture them. He didn't assault them. He just killed them quickly, mercifully. But then was a necrophile. And I'm not explaining what a necrophile is. You just gotta... yeah. Which I'm like... Can you get like $100 and find a hooker or something? Like, if you need it that damn badly? Like, really? Although with the amount of prostitutes that get killed throughout these other serial killers, like the Milwaukee Northside Strangler, they'd probably be dead too. Wesley Dodd, that apparently he did stuff to kids. That's one of the few times you hear from the person himself in custody. Because a lot of times, and I think that, number one, to see how valid some of these information is, the validity, that if it was more put together with like news footage at the time, because I guarantee you all these were on the news at some point. So if they had like clips of the news programs and what was being said at the time, and if it what was on public record at the time being showcased on these various news programs, I guarantee you a chunk of them probably did talk somehow, some way in front of a camera. So if you put it maybe more clips of them talking and more clips of them maybe in the courtroom and again news footage, it feels much more of a fuller documentary. This is like something that kind of loosely put together with some talking heads of experts. Whether they are or not, I don't know. They say they are. Maybe they would have made it much more pull me in more. Much more involving documentary. Wesley, yeah. But this is one of the few that you actually hear from the person while they're being interviewed. I don't know when, like from back then on camera, about how he did it nonstop since he was 13. And then they quickly go on these little avenues that they don't really get much in depth on, like the bad seed idea. Can you be born evil, or is it your environment? And then someone mentions, well, we've seen studies that some people with their brains are a bit altered and stuff. But it's like they mention it, but there's not like an in-depth conversation about it. Because again, it's only like an hour, if that. So it's like a lot of stuff is thrown at you, so I wasn't bored. As like, oh, I never heard of this person, I never heard of that person. Oh, okay, didn't hear about that. But I don't know if it really stick with you. I guess maybe like a beginner course into the world of serial killers. Again, you take what you say with some say with a grain of salt. I guess it's interesting as a first step into it. But again, you can always do a little bit of a homework to investigate whether some of the validity of these things. And again, I bet a lot of these names, there's probably YouTube videos that are more in depth on, like, now that I'm going to go on my phone right now. I'm going to look up Gail Graham and Catherine Maywood on YouTube and see. I guarantee you someone has done a video on it. I guarantee it. It'll take a minute for it to start. But I guess, again, this to be a beginner journey and people watch it. It's for free on Tubi. If you're into that subject, apparently there's, I forget, like I don't know, was it 7 episodes or 10? I said 10, but now I'm wondering. It was like 7, at least. I forget. It was a lot of episodes. Sorry, we'll stop a minute. Trying to think. Like I said, the subject matter, I mean, it's definitely not something I get curious about. It's really not. Because obviously it's a very depressing state of affairs because of what they've done. I could watch a movie about it because it's fiction, and you're hoping that, the good guy will find and win. But, I mean, I don't watch. Yeah, if it's a request, I will. No problem. But I don't seek out true crime stuff because it's just very depressing. It's just very disheartening. And I'm like, well, life itself is disheartening enough. I just would rather. Actually, let me check some real quick. Yeah, Becoming Evil, Serial Killers of the Old West. The Making of a Serial Killer documentary. Becoming Evil, Cult of Personality. Discover the shocking crimes of Daniel Lee Seibert, World's Most Evil Killers. So let me look up this that I was going to do. Dale Graham. Catherine. Serial Killer Podcast. The Lethal Lovers. Gwen Graham, sorry, and Kathy Wood. Sorry, Gwen Graham. I don't know why I thought the guy said Dale. Gwen Graham. And Kathy Wood. 44-minute podcast. So, yeah, I don't know why I thought I don't know why I thought they said Dale. Maybe because I was getting annoyed by the damn narrator. Female serial killers. 47 minutes from Joker ISRAR. They administered failed doses of insulin to 5 elderly patients, orchestrating their deaths in a disturbing and thought-out manner. Alpine Manor. That's another thing. At times, they're looked at as the Alpine Manor Killer. ALPINE. So if you look at Alpine Manor Killers, you find them too. Parole catches prosecutor off guard. Yeah, because one of them got paroled for some reason. Don't know why. License to Kill highlights. Oxygen. Where did the murders take place? Show highlights. What really caused nursing home deaths? An hour and 13 minutes. Case file presents. Case 260, the Alpine Manor murders. And that's an hour and 13 minutes just on that alone. So yeah, Lesbian Nurses and a Twisted Serial Killing Pat by Eleanor Neal. An hour and 50 minutes. Holy shit. Jesus, an hour and 50 minutes. Well, there you go. By all means necessary podcast, 43 minutes. So I mean, there's people that have done podcasts, there's documentaries. Like I say, every one of these you'll find much more. In fact, let me look up another one. Let's look up. What was it? The Milwaukee. North Side Strangler. Milwaukee's. Oh, he was black as well. Dies at age 53. I'll be honest, I forgot about that because I watched this a few days ago and they didn't really get much in depth about him other than he killed hookers. Yep, there's stuff about him. Deconstructing Milwaukee serial killer arrest. This podcast. Crime and Wine. Yeah. Jesus. This is depressing looking through. Like, seeing all the different people. 18-year-old woman killed on Milwaukee's north side. 2 dead after murders Milwaukee's north side. 10 standoff on Milwaukee north side. Prostitutes fearful after killer. Jesus. Milwaukee barber killed in double shooting. Damn, I'm depressed. I've been running a year before I get more depressed. So as for the thing itself, sorry, I know it was like 10 minutes of just me bumbling over a phone. It's not exciting, but it's on Tubi for free. If you want to dip your toe into it, it's less. It's an hour long or less. You get a bunch of names. You can find more in-depth stuff on YouTube and things of that nature. I'm sure the other episodes are the same way. So you get a little bit of factoid, you get a little bit of recognition of who these folks are, what they did, and maybe for folks it would be a good starting point. But again, the validity of the info, that'll be up to you to decide. Maybe like if the narrator was a bit of a stronger, like a Michael Ironside type of voice that really kept you compelled. Because the thing, the narrator, maybe that's the thing, the narrator I don't think was a really compelling voice to keep the attention of the viewer. Again, if there was more of, again, footage of, again, the trials, the news at the time that really interspersed with this, I think they could have done a bit more editing. But I mean, it was interesting to watch for an hour and such, so. But that's just me. But I said, unless it's a paid request, it's not something I really delve into on my own. So thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.